Shadows of extinction. The void of space swallowed light and hope alike. Captain Ilara Chen stared at the tactical display, where thousands of red markers represented the void-born armada that had cut a swath of destruction through humanity's outer colonies. Their ships moved with an eerie precision, like a shoal of predatory fish sensing blood in the water. "Status report," Chen demanded, her voice steady despite the weight pressing down on her shoulders. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Rice looked up from his console. "All 17 vessels accounted for and in formation, Captain. Stealth systems engaged and functioning at peak efficiency. 17 ships against the Voidborn's 3,000. The numbers told a story of extinction. 3 years ago, the Voidborn had emerged from the darkness between the Orion and Perseus arms of the galaxy. Their biotech vessels, seemingly grown rather than built, possessed defense systems that rendered conventional human weapons useless. Their energy weapons could slice through Earth's most advanced alloys as if they were paper. Their sensor arrays could detect ship signatures from half a light year away. Humanity had been fighting a losing war ever since. 23 colonies lost. Billions dead. The remnants of Earth's once proud interstellar defense force pushed back to Sol, where they prepared for what many believed would be humanity's last stand. "Prepare to drop out of Quantum Fold," Chen ordered. "Begin final checks on Project Singularity." The bridge of the ESS Defiance hummed with tense activity. This mission wasn't just another desperate stand. It was humanity's last gambit. "Captain," said Commander Aisha Okafor, Chen's XO and oldest friend, "should we go over the plan one more time?" Chen nodded, gesturing toward the central holotable, where the tactical projection sprang to life. "The Voidborn believe they've herded us into a corner," Chen explained, gesturing to the star system displayed above the table. "What they don't know is that we've chosen this battleground. Ta City is where we make our stand, not because we must, but because we've prepared it." The hologram zoomed in, showing 17 human ships positioned strategically around the system's asteroid belt. "For 2 years, our engineers have been studying the remains of Voidborn technology recovered from battle sites. Project Singularity is the result, a device that creates localized gravitational distortions, precisely targeted to affect the unique quantum resonance of Voidborn bioship hulls." Chief Engineer Takumi Sato stepped forward. "The theory is sound, Captain. We've tested it on the captured Voidborn scout vessel. The gravitational distortions should disrupt their hull integrity, forcing them to lower their defensive fields to compensate. And that's when we strike," added Tactical Officer Elena Volkov. "Our new kinetic penetrators will punch through their exposed hulls. No shields, no regeneration capability." The bridge fell silent as everyone contemplated what lay ahead. This wasn't just another battle. It was a mathematical equation with extinction as the variable. "I won't lie to you," Chen said, looking each of her senior officers in the eye. "This plan requires perfect timing, perfect execution. If even one element fails, we likely won't get a second chance." Sato cleared his throat. "There's something else, Captain. The Singularity devices will create massive gravitational shear. Our ships will need to remain at least 500 kilometers from the deployment points, or will be affected too. Which means," Okafor added, "we'll be firing blind, relying entirely on predictive targeting." Chen nodded. "Humanity didn't get this far by playing it safe. We've always pushed boundaries, taken risks when necessary. Today, we take the biggest risk of all. We bet everything on human ingenuity." A notification chimed on the main console. "Quantum Fold exit in 3 minutes," announced the navigation officer. "Battle stations," Chen ordered. "All hands prepare for combat operations." As crew members rushed to their positions, Chen moved to the viewport. Stars streaked past as the ESS Defiance and its sister ships hurtled through folded space toward what could be humanity's final battlefield, or its greatest triumph. "You know," Okafor said quietly, joining Chen at the viewport, "my grandfather used to tell stories about ancient naval battles on Earth. how smaller fleets would overcome larger ones through superior tactics and unexpected maneuvers. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Let's hope the Voidborn never studied Earth's military history. The quantum fold drive disengaged with a subsonic pulse that rippled through the ship. Alarms blared as sensors detected the massive Voidborn fleet, already assembling in a defensive formation around Ta City's fifth planet, exactly where intelligence had predicted they would be. "They've detected us," Rise reported. "Voidborn fleet is orienting toward our position." "Good," Chen replied. "They're focusing on our ships. Deploy singularity probes as planned." From the launch bays of all 17 human vessels, hundreds of small, unmanned probes shot into space, their minimal profiles barely registering on sensors as they spread throughout the battlefield. On the bridge of the Voidborn command vessel, High Commander Xalvoth observed the human fleet with disdain. His 4 compound eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of contempt recognized by all members of the collective. "They send such a small force against us," he communicated through the ship's organic neural network. "These humans truly are primitive. They do not even understand when they are defeated." Second Commander Nevsar's response came instantly. "Our scouts report these are their latest vessels, High Commander. Perhaps they believe they have developed weapons that can harm us." "A desperate hope," Xalvoth replied. "Prepare the disintegration arrays. We will make this quick, then proceed to their home world." I grow weary of this resistance. The Voidborn fleet began to move, their massive bioships splitting into attack formations with perfect coordination. Each ship was connected to the others through a quantum communication network that allowed them to function as a single organism. Back aboard the Defiance, Chen watched as the enemy deployed. "Singularity probes in position," reported Sato, "awaiting your command to activate." Chen took a deep breath. This was the moment every calculation, every simulation had led to. If they were wrong, if their understanding of Voidborn technology was flawed, humanity would follow countless other species into extinction at the hands of these merciless conquerors. "Activate Project Singularity," she ordered. Across the battlefield, hundreds of probes simultaneously generated intense gravitational fields, precisely calibrated to the resonance frequency of Voidborn bioship hulls. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Aboard the Voidborn command ship, alarms screeched through the organic corridors as the vessel's hull began to vibrate at a molecular level. The living material that composed the ship's structure started to tear under forces it had never been designed to withstand. "What is happening?" Xalvoth demanded as his command chair trembled beneath him. "Unknown gravitational anomalies throughout the fleet," Nevsar responded, her thought patterns chaotic with confusion. "Hull integrity compromised. Defense fields failing as power reroutes to structural reinforcement." "Impossible." Xalvoth's mental shout reverberated through the neural network. "These primitives cannot possess such technology." On the tactical display, he watched in horror as ship after ship in his fleet reported critical systems failure. The perfect formation dissolved into chaos as individual captains struggled to save their vessels from the mysterious attack. Aboard the Defiance, Chen didn't wait to press her advantage. "All ships, fire kinetic penetrators. Target their command vessels first." The human fleet launched their attack. Railguns accelerated metal projectiles to a significant fraction of light speed. Without their defensive fields, the Voidborn ships were exposed. The kinetic penetrators punched through the weakened hulls, the energy of impact converting to heat and light in spectacular explosions. Direct hits confirmed on multiple targets, Volkov reported, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. Voidborn vessels showing catastrophic damage. Chen watched the tactical display, hardly daring to believe what she was seeing. The Voidborn fleet, undefeated in hundreds of engagements across dozens of star systems, was in disarray. Their perfect coordination shattered as the gravitational disruption prevented their quantum communication network from functioning. "They're breaking formation," Rise announced incredulously. "Multiple vessels attempting emergency maneuvers." For the first time in 3 years of brutal conflict, humanity had seized the initiative. But Chen knew the Voidborn would adapt quickly. This advantage wouldn't last. "Continue the attack," she ordered. "Don't give them a chance to regroup." As the human fleet pressed forward, unleashing volley after volley of kinetic penetrators, the Voidborn struggled to comprehend what had happened. Their technological superiority, the foundation of their conquests across the galaxy, had been neutralized by a species they had dismissed as barely worth assimilating. High Commander Gazalvoth stared at the tactical display, watching as a third of his fleet died in less than 20 minutes of combat. The humans had done the impossible. They had adapted, innovated, and overcome. "All vessels," he communicated through the damaged neural network, "withdraw and regroup at Rally Point Delta. We must reassess our approach to these humans." As the Voidborn fleet began its retreat, Chen allowed herself to breathe. This wasn't victory, not yet, but for the first time since the war began, it felt like survival was possible. "They're pulling back," Okafor said, disbelief evident in her voice. "We actually did it." Chen nodded, watching as the red markers on the tactical display retreated from the field of battle. "This is just the beginning. They'll be back, and they'll be ready for Project Singularity. But they'll never be ready for what comes next," Sado added with a grim smile. "Because if there's one thing humans excel at, it's innovation under pressure." As the ESS Defiance and its sister ships secured their position, Chen sent a simple message to Earth Command. "Phase 1 successful. The Voidborn can bleed. Preparing for Phase 2. Across the stars, humanity's colonies received the news with cautious hope. For the first time, the seemingly invincible Voidborn had been driven back. The shadow of extinction had not been lifted, but a light had appeared in the darkness. And humans, as they had always done, would follow that light no matter where it led. Paradigm shift. High Commander Zalvoth's compound eyes reflected the holographic display showing the damage assessment. 1/3 of his fleet destroyed or disabled, another third sustaining severe damage. Such losses were unprecedented in the 1,000-year history of Voidborn expansion. "Explain," he demanded, his thought patterns rippling with barely controlled rage. Science Director Mev Lorne stepped forward, her slender form seeming to shrink under the commander's gaze. The humans deployed devices generating precisely modulated gravitational fields. These fields created resonance patterns that destabilize our bioship's molecular structure. How could primitives develop such technology? Egjalvoth demanded. 3 cycles ago, they were barely capable of interstellar travel. "I believe," Mev Lorne responded carefully, "we have significantly underestimated human adaptability. Analysis of battlefield data suggests they reverse-engineered this technology from our own damaged vessels." Nev Sar, who had survived the battle with only minor injuries, joined the conversation. "They did not simply copy our technology. They weaponized it against us. This indicates a level of innovation we have not encountered in any previous species." Zalvoth's mandibles clicked in agitation. "Revise tactical assessments. All future engagements must account for human technological innovation. We must adapt our approach." "There is more," Mev Lorne added hesitantly. "We have detected unusual communication patterns among the human fleet. They appear to be using a variant of our own quantum signaling method." Silence fell over the command chamber, broken only by the organic pulse of the ship's life support systems. "Impossible," Zalvoth whispered, but the dread in his thought patterns betrayed his growing understanding. The humans hadn't just studied Voidborn technology, they had comprehended it on a fundamental level and then improved upon it. For the first time in his long existence, High Commander Zalvoth faced an enemy who might actually be capable of defeating the Voidborn. Aboard the ESS Defiance, Captain Chen stood before the assembled captains of the human fleet, their images projected in the conference room's holographic display. "Phase 1 exceeded expectations," she began. "The Voidborn have withdrawn to the edge of the Ta Ceti system. But make no mistake, they're regrouping, not retreating. How long do we have before they attack again? Asked Captain Javier Rodriguez of the ESS Indomitable. Intelligence estimates 12 hours, Chen replied. They're adapting their ship's molecular structure to resist our gravitational weapons. Chief Engineer Sato stepped forward, which is exactly what we predicted they would do. Phase 2 is ready to implement. The holographic display shifted to show a new tactical overview. While the Singularity devices had been humanity's most visible weapon, they weren't the only card humanity had to play. 6 months ago, Chen explained, we captured a damaged Voidborn scout ship. While Project Singularity was developed from studying their hull technology, Project Oracle came from analyzing their communication systems. Commander Okafor continued the briefing. The Voidborn use quantum-entangled particles to communicate instantaneously across vast distances. This gives them perfect coordination in battle. Each ship knows exactly what every other ship is doing. It's what makes them so formidable. But Sato added with a hint of pride, we've managed to tap into their network. We can't understand their language yet, but we can introduce subtle distortions into their communications. Chen allowed herself a small smile. When they attack again, their perfect coordination will be compromised. Ship will turn against ship. Formation will collapse into chaos. And that's when we strike. Finished Tactical Officer Volkov. Multiple targeted attacks, focusing on their newly vulnerable command structure. The assembled captains absorbed this information, their expressions transitioning from cautious hope to determined resolve. We have one chance to end this war, Chen said. If we succeed, humanity survives. If we fail. She didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone understood the stakes. Return to your ships, she ordered. Prepare your crews. In 12 hours, we either make history or become it. As the holographic projections winked out, Okafor approached Chen. The intelligence team just decoded fragments of Voidborn communications from the battle. You should hear this. She activated a nearby console, and a translation of Voidborn thought patterns, converted to human speech, filled the room. Impossible. Primitives cannot possess such technology. Retreat and reassess. The humans are more dangerous than anticipated. Chen listened, her expression unreadable. They're afraid, she finally said. Good, Okafor replied. They should be. Across the void of space, the damaged Voidborn fleet reorganized. Bioships merged with one another, transferring living material to repair damage. New defensive protocols were implemented, specifically designed to counteract the gravitational weapons. But beneath the surface of precise, logical adaptation, something unprecedented was spreading through the collective consciousness of the Voidborn fleet: doubt. For millennia, the Voidborn had expanded throughout the galaxy, encountering countless species. Some fought back with primitive weapons. Others offered technological treasures in exchange for mercy. All were eventually conquered, their resources harvested, their knowledge absorbed, their survivors enslaved or eradicated. The humans were different. They didn't just fight. They innovated. They didn't just resist. They adapted. They studied their enemy and turned that knowledge into weapons more effective than anything they could have developed on their own. In the private thoughts of many Voidborn, a question formed that had never before been considered. What if we cannot win? High Commander Xalvoth sensed this growing uncertainty and moved to crush it. The humans have revealed their greatest weapon, he communicated to the fleet. Now that we understand it, we will counter it. Their momentary advantage is lost. When we engage them again, we will obliterate them. But the doubt persisted, spreading from ship to ship like a virus. 11 hours after the battle, sensors aboard the ESS Defiance detected movement. The Voidborn fleet was advancing once more, their bioships arranged in a new, more defensive formation. They're being cautious, Okafor observed. They've adapted to Project Singularity faster than we expected. Chen nodded. Activate Project Oracle. Let's see how they handle fighting themselves. Throughout the human fleet, specialized transmitters powered up. sending precisely calibrated quantum signals into the voidborne communication network. To the alien ships, these signals were indistinguishable from commands from their own leadership, but with subtle, critical differences. Aboard the voidborne command ship, chaos erupted. Multiple conflicting orders detected, reported the communication liaison. Fleet elements are receiving contradictory commands. Zelvoth stared in disbelief as his carefully arranged formation began to dissolve. Ships changed course without authorization. Weapon systems targeted friendly vessels. The perfect synchronization that had made the Voidborn invincible for 1,000 years collapsed in minutes. The humans have infiltrated our quantum network. Mevlorn realized too late. They're corrupting our command signals. Shut down all quantum communications, Zelvoth ordered. Revert to light-speed transmissions. But the damage was already done. Without their instantaneous communication network, the Voidborn ships were forced to rely on light-speed signals, introducing fatal delays in coordination. Captain Chen watched the enemy's formation disintegrate on the tactical display. Phase 2 successful, she announced. All ships, commence attack pattern Sierra. Target their flagship cluster. The human fleet moved with practiced precision, concentrating fire on the heart of the enemy formation, where the largest command vessels struggled to reestablish control. Kinetic penetrators streaked across space, finding their marks with devastating accuracy. Explosions bloomed in silence against the blackness of space as voidborne command ships, caught between conflicting orders and unable to coordinate their defenses, fell one after another. We're detecting emergency quantum pulses from the Voidborne flagship, reported Communications Officer Park. They're trying to override our intrusion into their network. As expected, Chen replied calmly. Implement Phase 3. Throughout the human fleet, secondary systems activated, sending a new set of quantum signals. These carried no false commands but instead contained a single package of data. Information harvested from the captured Voidborne scout ship. Information about Earth, about humans, about the relentless determination that had carried humanity from stone tools to the stars. For the first time, the Voidborne received an unfiltered glimpse into the species they had underestimated. They saw humans pushing boundaries, surviving catastrophes, overcoming seemingly impossible odds. They saw a species that had nearly destroyed itself multiple times, but had always pulled back from the brink, learning and growing stronger from each near extinction. Most importantly, they saw a species that would never surrender, never accept defeat, never stop fighting no matter the odds. Aboard the Voidborne command ship, High Commander Zelvoth received this transmission directly into his consciousness. As the data flowed through his neural pathways, he finally understood what they were facing. Cease the attack, he ordered, his thought patterns resonating with a new emotion, respect tinged with fear. All vessels withdraw immediately. High Commander, Nev Sor protested. Our forces can still. No, Zelvoth interrupted. We cannot defeat these humans. Not now, perhaps not ever. They are different. If we continue this war, they will not stop until either they or we are extinct. And I am no longer certain which outcome is more likely. The Voidborne fleet disengage, their retreat no longer tactical but strategic. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Voidborne had encountered a species they could not easily subjugate, a species whose determination and adaptability matched their own technological advantages. On the bridge of the ESS Defiance, Chen watched the enemy fleet withdraw. This wasn't just a battle won, it was a war changed forever. They're leaving the system, Rice confirmed. Long-range sensors show they're preparing for quantum fold transit. A cheer erupted across the bridge, quickly spreading throughout the ship and across the fleet. Humanity had done the impossible. They had driven back the Voidborne. Chen allowed her crew their moment of jubilation. They had earned it, but her eyes remained fixed on the tactical display, where the red markers representing the retreating enemy fleet were disappearing one by one. They'll be back, she said quietly to Okafor. This isn't over. No, her XO agreed. But the next time they come, they'll do so knowing they can lose, and for a species that's never known defeat, that changes everything. Hours later, as the human fleet secured the Ta-Ceti system and began preparations for the inevitable next engagement, Chen drafted her report to Earth Command. After detailing the tactical success and the effectiveness of Project Singularity and Oracle, she added a personal assessment. We have shifted the paradigm of this conflict. The Voidborn no longer see us as prey, but as worthy adversaries. This will not end the war immediately, but it opens the possibility of something previously unthinkable: negotiation. The Voidborn conquer those they consider inferior, and avoid those they cannot easily defeat. Today, humanity moved from the first category to the second. What comes next will depend on whether the Voidborn can adapt not just their technology but their understanding. Can a species with a 1,000-year history of conquest learn to coexist? I don't know. But today, for the first time, they must consider the possibility that continuing this war might lead to their own extinction rather than ours. Humanity has always been at its best with its back against the wall. Today we pushed off that wall. Tomorrow, we start pushing back. As her message raced toward Earth at quantum speeds, Captain Ilara Chen stood at the viewport of the ESS Defiance, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, the Voidborn were reassessing everything they thought they knew about humans. And that perhaps was the greatest victory of all.